Welcome to Coffee with Clover. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Clover Sterling. We have a very interesting show lined up for you. But first, have you ever thought of water and what it's around us in such abundance? Well, the history behind the precious liquid will amaze you. Here to share with us what is water, author and scientist Nina Mantiano. Nina, welcome to the show.
A pleasure, Clover.
Water, it's in abundance. It's everywhere. Right now it's raining outside.
Yes.
What is it about water?
What is it about water for me? Well, for anybody. Water is life-giving. And what's interesting is, sure, we know this. We know that water is important, just like the air that we breathe. But what we don't realize is that we're breathing water as well. So water is actually connected to us on a day-to-day basis, on a minute-by-minute basis. We're surrounded by water. We breathe it in, we breathe it out. And water is all around us, giving life. Funnily enough, the life-giving properties of water are actually associated with most of its anomalous properties. Did you know, Clover, that it has many, many anomalous properties? Over 70.
Wow. Can you focus on just one? One of the main?
You want me to focus on just one? Okay, water is, it's going to be a few, but it's all connected to one. How's that? Water is both sticky and slippery at the same time. Water is sticky, for instance, in that it's coherent. It goes into a ball, right, as a liquid, as opposed to like alcohol, which goes flat. It likes to go around itself. It likes itself. But it's also sticky in that it likes to glom onto other things, which is why it'll, you'll have a drop of water hanging on to something before gravity takes it and lets it drop to the ground. It likes things. And because of that, that gives water the ability to behave with capillary action, for instance. You know how water goes way up trees, 40, 50 feet up into the air against gravity again to feed the leaves, etc., of the tree and to feed the entire tree. So water moves in a kind of mysterious way. It has these properties. So I said that stickiness of water. Water is also slippery. And here's the thing. So when water is under stress.
Under stress?
Under stress. So let's say in your body, you're under stress and your vessels constrict, right? So you would think, like in a highway, like what's happening right now, right outside with the rain. All the cars are stopping and they're blocking. It's like the 401, right? They're all stuck. But with water, when that happens, it actually moves more quickly. So that's kind of counterintuitive, right? But water behaves more like information than like cars on a highway. When I say information, it's like gossip. It's like gossip in a room.
That's interesting.
The more people there are in a room, the quicker that gossip moves. That's kind of a wild analogy, but it works. That's how water behaves. So that's why water is more like information. Water also has quantum properties. It's coherent. It is bizarre. It's different from any other element or substance of the same kind, such as when in its liquid form, in its solid form, and its gaseous form or vapor. So it's lighter than most things as a vapor, than most gases. It's denser than other liquids, and it's lighter as a solid. Think of, that cup of coffee. It's pretty, the solid cup of coffee is
also
heavy.
As solid as in ice.
As in ice. So in ice form, if you, in the summer, you know what happens to ice.
Yeah. With the snowballs, snowballs in winter, ice cubes in summer.
Yeah. So the ice, because it's lighter than the dense liquid, floats. And that enables life to form and stay. Think of a lake, for instance, in the wintertime up here, the Great Lakes. Do they freeze over all the way through? No, they form ice on the top, which floats. The ice forms, and it allows the liquid to stay liquid so that all the things that live there, the fish, the invertebrates, etc., can continue. Otherwise, every winter, everything would die.
But then for us, it's like moisture in the air.
Everybody has a story with water.
Yeah.
And when we connect with water, when we remember something important and connect, like an event, someone got married in, Niagara Falls, or we did something.
Falls, right.
A lot of people did, right? Or remember the first time we went swimming, or we remember something else, and we connect. Then the next step is we care. We care about water, not just to hydrate us, but water to be water. And from that, the next step, of course, from caring, is doing something about it. That's the important step. It's not enough to know, like a scientist, to intellectually know something must be done. You had some guests about climate change just a while ago. We all know climate change is a problem, but how, unless we relate to it somehow, how can we do something about it? So we need to feel, first of all, that we can make a difference, but we also need to feel that we want to make a difference. The will has to be there, and that's through the connection
of water. We'll take a quick break. Just remember, respect water. Remember, water has endless uses. Drink it to quench your thirst or make a cup of coffee. Whatever you do, water is life. Don't waste it. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Our community and world leaders are put in place to govern us while making sure each citizen is treated fairly. But before you cast that one vote, are you making sure it's the right choice? Please help me welcome community editor of Peel Weekly News, Catherine Supple. She will tell us the importance of choosing the right leader. Hi, Catherine. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you. It's so fun to be back, Clover.
Yeah, it's nice to have you all the time. Now, it's important to make the right choice whenever it's time to choose a leader for a country, world leaders for a community. How essential is that?
It's very essential because the leaders influence how decisions are made, and once legislation becomes law, everybody has to follow the same rules. And it's difficult sometimes to know how to pick a leader because there's so much noise. I'm going to call it noise. And a lot of times people turn to pollsters for answers. And sometimes what happens is the content of the poll becomes contentious and people are arguing about opinion instead of looking at the fact.
Okay, they may be arguing about opinions, but then we have to think of the multicultural society that we are in. And how will the election affect other regions of the world?
Okay, so first of all, in the multicultural society that is Canada, some people, in the region of Peel, where we live, more than 50% of people were born outside of Canada. The thing about an election is that not everybody gets to vote. The other thing about an election is that the decisions that are made by the people who are elected affect everybody, and in fact, everybody is a taxpayer. For some people, like children and seniors, taxes are paid on their behalf when we buy their food and take care of them. So whether or not you have a vote, you need to make sure that your needs are met, especially for health and education and for things like transit that help all of us.
I remember you have a viewpoint as to whoever has been elected, there's something we ought to keep in mind.
Sure.
Who plays and who pays and who says.
That's right.
How important are those three roles?
So the importance is punctuated when you have a child in front of a candy counter and it's supper time and you're trying to get through with your groceries. So who plays, who pays, and who says? Kid wants chocolate, mama says no. Mama got to say. That's politics. So the partisan piece is how the budgets are parsed out, and those connect to our core values. Do you want to balance a budget? Do you want to invest in health and education? Do you think transit is important? Do you think the environment is important? Do you think museums and heritage are important? So these are questions that we all have to ask whether or not we get to vote. And then we have to make sure that the person who is elected understands that all people get to benefit from society, not just the people who had the vote.
And then that's just for who pays, right?
Yes.
How about who plays?
So who plays, that gets a little trickier. Anybody can play if they want to. If you want to become political and advocate for an issue, for example, my issue is public education primarily, and civic engagement, which is why I'm the community editor now for the Peel Weekly News, then I believe that everybody should be able to play, that opportunities should not face barriers that are arbitrary. So in that case, then it doesn't matter where you are from, whether you were born here, whether you traveled to be here, whether you're First Nation or a recent immigrant. Everybody is here, everybody has value to offer, and everybody should take what they need so that we can all get along in society.
And then that would trickle down to who says.
So who says happens to be that's hinged right now on the vote, but it's not limited to the vote. A vote is like a poll, it's a point in time. There are community meetings ongoing once the governments are in, and it's important for people who have a viewpoint and information to share to go to public meetings. For example, last night there was a meeting in Mississauga concerning the development of the marina of Port Credit. So that marina, although it's located in Port Credit, actually serves the west side of the GTA as a harbor for sailors of all kinds in the deepest port in the Great Lakes. And so that asset, which is located in Mississauga, has to be shared with other people. So people from elsewhere came to that Port Credit meeting to make sure that their needs are going to be met and they had information to provide.
So whoever leader has been chosen has to be able to agree that they're going to be behind the upkeep of the harbor.
So our Canadian tradition is that the leaders are supposed to listen and represent their people. In this particular federal election, it's going to be even more important for people to look at not only who is the leader of the party, because some people are not happy with any of the leaders of the parties, but to make sure that the person that you elect locally is going to take your views to Ottawa and protect your core values, which pertain to immigration, to how we do our business, protection of heritage, protection of environment, and how the federal government agrees with the provincial government on allocation of education and health.
Do you really think that our leaders are listening? They have tough decisions to make. Voters have a tough decision too, because a leader can be saying, I'm going to be going in on this, the next leader is saying on that. Then you have people crossing over from one party to the next because this one is not supporting my views. How easy or hard it is for them? Do they really listen to us?
So what we want to do is encourage the listening. So the first thing that we must do, all of us as residents and citizens, is understand that no one person can know everything except perhaps for God or with the God that you worship. If people are human, then we have more humanity if more of us get together and remember to remain open. If you hear something that you don't agree with, you also have to check with yourself why it is that you don't agree with it. So it's our responsibility to help the people in power to do the work that they have to do. So that is in supporting them, but also in correcting them.
But then they have to know what we stand for, what actually we want to get out of it. It's not what they want to put forth.
So what we want to do is to adjust the views of the elected people by coming together in community groups and associations. In Mississauga, for example, large developments along the lakeshore have come about because for the first time in North America, community associations created an official plan for Lakeview Inspiration and for the West Acres development, which is on expired petroleum processing lands. And last night at the third waterfront development, the community came together and the city of Mississauga and its environmental assessment consultants were able to say, because there have been 2 consultations already for master plans that have already developed, we believe that a great deal of learning can inform what is going to happen here within our environmental assessment so that we can make more open public access to the waterfront, better use of the waterfront, maintain the marina for people who use the marina for pleasure craft, but also for business. So it was a muscular meeting, I'm going to say that. People were very sure to make that their views were known because there are so many interests, but the interests were more public rather than they were corporate.
Okay, and this trend has to follow. Whoever the leader is, leader after leader has to keep up to what the people want for the waterfront.
So leadership really, if you were faith-based, leadership is actually servant leadership. And servant leadership, it's like parenting really. You know, you want your children to obey you, but you also as a parent wish to inform and support children and other vulnerable family members so that they so that they are looked after, but also we learn. So as parents and as leaders, we learn from the people that we serve.
Okay, thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing. It's very important who we choose to lead us. It's time for a quick break. Coming up, World Travel. Welcome back. Do you love to travel? Whatever your destination and your means of transportation, make sure you're up to some fun. My next guest is traveling the world and enjoying every moment of it. Please help me welcome author Vidya Gopal. Vidya, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to have you back again. So,
yes,
from an author, you're still an author.
I'm still an author.
But now you are traveling the world.
Both author and traveler.
And travelers.
Yes.
So are you writing on your voyage when you're going out?
Yes, what I do is I compile every place I go, from the cost to the places I've been, and all the mishap and the good things.
So we're going to be having a new book sometime about travel.
I'm hoping.
Okay. What is it that inspires you that you're traveling now?
I'm very happy you asked me this question. I'll go back to my childhood. When I was a little boy, as you know, I'm born in Mauritius. One day I was standing right in that seaport, and I saw those ships coming in and out. And I said to myself, wouldn't it be nice if I just hop in one of the ships and just go to the world? Back then, didn't care who goes in the ship. You just go there. If they send you back, you come back home.
That's easy.
That was easy. So I said to myself, you know, it would be nice. And I was a little boy. But boy, that dream came true. Now I'm in Canada.
Wow.
So now I've been traveling almost 53 countries.
Wow.
And counting.
That's amazing.
I have 2 books already. September, I'm going to Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Right after that, I'm going to Morocco.
You've gone to 53.
53.
Which was your first?
First one was in Europe. To be honest, it was England. England. From there, the ball started rolling, and we went all over the places. Most of the Europe, I've done it. France, Italy, Milan, Venice, Zurich, you name it.
Wow.
All the Caribbean islands, you name it, just a name.
Are you collecting souvenirs when you go to
Well,
these
there's one
places?
thing, and someday I'm hoping that I'll have an album of all the money from those countries. I have money from each country.
So you have a collection. Oh, money.
Money.
Oh.
So when I go to, say, Mexico, I have peso, real peso. So last time I went to St. Martin, they only use American dollars. But I made sure that I got their local money. So I had to buy it off from one of the...
So you just couldn't go to the bank, do an exchange and get it?
Some countries, yes.
Okay.
But this one, no. So what I'm saying is that wherever I get a chance, I'll do anything just to get the money.
Okay.
And that's how I'm making a collection.
Okay. So when you go traveling, how many times a year are you doing this, by the way?
Well, I've been retired for almost 3 years, so I'm averaging 6 a year.
6 times per year. So that's where your budget go, and you're enjoying every moment of it.
Every morning.
Are you taking pictures at every location?
Well, if 500 pictures per trip is good enough, and videos, you name it.
Wow. So let me ask, where are some of the places that you're staying when you go? Are you in homes?
Well,
hotels?
no. My first rule of thumb is to stay in hotel. Second, I take a tour package. Third, if I do my own planning, like last time I went to India, I did my own planning. I went back to my own country, Mauritius, I did my own planning. But I make sure that I'm in a place where it's very safe. Yeah.
Very safe.
I have some tip for people who are traveling. Do not venture after 9 o'clock.
Wow.
Don't go to places that you don't really know.
Right.
And I normally have a rule of thumb by 9, 10 o'clock.
Do you stay on property, or do you go out in the community to get to know the people of the country?
Like I said, if there are a lot of people who make their own packages, but I package with this travel group and they take you to those places. So I'm pretty safe.
And you think that is safer?
I would say that's very safe.
So before you go on a trip, how many months or weeks ahead before you start researching?
Well, since before I was working, normally you would do 2 or 3, and you would take those vacation or trip as per schedule of that company. So normally you would take it in June, July. That's when you get the time, right? Now, I'm retired.
Yeah.
Time is not an issue. I don't have to fill a vacation form anywhere.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So now I always book it. It depends how good a deal I get.
Oh, okay.
St. Martin, I booked it a week and a half.
Oh.
It was 50% off.
So closer to the day,
Yep.
it's cheaper.
Cheaper.
Wow.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. But sometimes longer, also cheaper, because they're trying to attract you for those traveling. And they get a good discount.
So how about you, during the winter months, you can go traveling?
Yes.
To the tropical?
I travel up until, say, January. Let's say end of December. January, February is too cold to leave the house, so we stay house. Then it starts on March. March up until December.
No, so if it's cold in February, that's when you leave to go somewhere warm.
Yeah, but some of the places that you want to go warm is depending on the situation. There's some hurricanes and what have you. So I based on my timing.
Have you ever gone to a destination and disaster starts?
Well, not yet because I planned it. But I do have some mishap in some of my trip. Almost one trip was canceled, but we went through the whole thing. And I had to buy back a ticket back home.
Would you like to say what it is, and not saying which country it is?
Oh, sure it is, Thailand.
Oh, what happened? What happened?
Well, we booked it from here to Thailand, and the plane from Toronto to San Francisco delayed, and everything about ripple effect.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe that was bad timing,
Bad
even though you plan in advance.
Yeah. So, well, not the back timing. It's just that the plane, if it didn't start it on time, if you start on time, then everything will have been okay. It's just that it delayed by 2 hours. So my person was supposed to pick me up in Thailand, the driver. He didn't see me. So he left.
So you didn't have your name card to say Vidya?
They probably did there, and Vidya was not there.
Oh, okay.
So they wait only maybe 4 or 5 hours, and after that, if you don't show up, they just...
So what did you do?
Oh, then I have to take a taxi and go to my hotel.
Okay, so just before we go, where's your next destination?
My next destination is Vietnam. It's a very safe place. I checked it out.
Okay.
And after that, I'll go to Morocco. And if everything is okay, I'm going to go to Peru.
Okay, how long are you going to stay? A week in each?
Normally, I go about 10 to 14 days.
Okay, good to know. Make travel a part of your life in creating your own memories. We have now come to the end of Coffee with Clover. I hope you have enjoyed the segment. Until next time, have fun. Thanks for watching.